could we design a system realistically that you've never had to call leads again? Is they found that when people buy, it's after they've consumed 48 minutes of content, whether that is after one day, a week, a month, or a year. Instead of just telling you what you should do, they're creating the AI tools to help you do it quicker.
That exclusiveness is one of the big impacts. And then the second thing is the qualification. That will get people to be like, oh, is that possible where I'm at?
Their interview process is now comparing their presence online to yours.
There's two types of agents. There's people that are really good at finding people to help, and there's people that are good at helping people. Is this good enough to be scalable to an audience of 1,000,
And
2,000, 10,000?
like we're trying to strip out every single thing that isn't you going to someone's house to get the paperwork signed.
Keep my eye on the prize. Welcome to the Leads Are Shit. This is a real estate magazine podcast, and I'm here with the owner of Real Estate Magazine, Andrew Fogliato. Andrew is also the founder of Just Sell Homes, a real estate marketing company so that realtors can just sell homes. Realtors like me. My name is Taylor. I am a real estate agent and team leader in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I'm a REMAX agent that has been in the top 1% in the brand for most of my career. And I like to talk about kind of sales and I like to dabble in marketing. And Andrew is fantastic at marketing, but a lot of people feel that their marketing can be misaligned. And what they complain with is that the leads are shit. But the truth is that they need to unlock that alignment. So that's what we're talking about each week. I am the local guinea pig. So we often test some of these with us and then bring in some other experts and you too. We're seeing that we have our Zoom audience that is
Just walking
populating
in.
here right now. People are rolling in.
Yeah.
And really, if you are coming in and you want to warm up the chat, we'd really like to know who you are, where you're from, because real estate is geographic. And I'm going to add one more thing to that. Can you tell us a win? Who you
Yeah,
are,
let's
where you're from, and is there something that is a win for you? Like, Andrew, what's a
yeah.
win for you right now?
So it's not a win, but it's just like a funny thing that just happened. Actually, there is another win, which I can talk about. It's all on my social right now. But it's a pain in the butt thing about AI becoming as popular as it is for writing content. AI, when it's writing puff pieces for magazines and blogs and stuff about realtors, their like favorite line is name doesn't just sell homes, they blank. And it's like some puffery BS. But I have Google alerts set up for just sell homes. So it's just like increasingly AI slop, but like that line, they don't just sell homes, they blank. So it'd be like Taylor Hack doesn't just sell homes, he makes dreams happen. And it's just like that level of BS. He's a dream maker. He's a whatever. He's a whatever. And it's like, oh, another one. Like now to the point that like Google alerts are almost useless for my brand name there.
Sometimes that's how it rolls, right? Like
Yeah.
you kind of catch those bounces, but man,
Yeah.
like have your brand repeated over and over again
Yeah.
by machines, like is that going to dilute your abilities online or strengthen them?
It does like it's one of those ones where it's not as bad as like if your last name was Swift, how bad that would be for you to get ranked. Um, but it certainly there's more competition for just sell homes, but I still like because I know how and what I'm doing. If if you search just sell homes, it still should be me as like the entire first page.
Well,
Um,
it's not the case anymore, but JoeRogan.com used to be a realtor.
yeah. There's a lot. Someone else owns just sell homes handles on different platforms.
Hmm.
It's like a realtor in like Victoria or something. But they don't use it. I've tried to get justsell.com because that one wasn't used. It was like an old blog, but they wouldn't do it.
Hmm.
That was a brand extension I was thinking of what if we weren't just like helping realtors? We could help mortgage brokers, lawyers, inspectors, and go that, and we'd be like just sell. And yeah, no. Yeah, I wanted like 50 grand. I was like, but you're not even using it.
Yeah, but I have
Yeah.
dreams. I have
Yeah, so
dreams,
many
Andrew.
dreams. Yeah. Well, it's like I was telling you before, I own sellwithremax.com for my selling days, and like I wouldn't let that go for just anything.
Yeah, I own
Yeah.
risingteams.com and I have
Yeah.
had offers in the $5,000 range, but I didn't want to sell it at that time.
Yeah.
So I'll see how it
Yeah.
goes. But sometimes, being a internet domain troll, Pays off.
Yeah, I got about 90 of them. So did I ever tell you my brother's story? What happened with him?
Hmm.
So he owned a radiohostsname.com. It was like at the time in Toronto, like the Howard Stern equivalent. He was huge. And he bought his name.com. And like a couple of years later, he got an email from someone who's like, "Hey, I'm working with him. We'd like to get the domain. Would you give it to us?" And our brother and I at the time had no idea what these would be worth. So he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Make me an offer." The guy's like, "I'll give you 2,500 bucks for the domain name." My brother's like, "I paid $10 for this." Yeah, I paid 2,500 bucks. He's like, "That's fantastic." Takes my phone. Like 2 weeks later on the radio, he hears the guy going, "Yeah, and I just had to go buy my domain off this loser up in this area," and like goes
Oh,
off about it. And my brother's like, "Wait," as he's going off, he's like, "That sounds like the guy I sold it to, not me that he's talking about." So he emailed the host of the radio show, being like, "I just sold my domain to that guy, I think that you're talking about." And then the radio host emails back like, "What did he pay you for the domain?"
oh,
And my brother responded, he goes, "Jesus Christ, I paid him 50."
hot damn.
Yeah, and it turns out like he basically made a deal for 50 and then came to my brother to buy it off him.
Yeah.
And literally just like lied that he was like working with him
Working, well, he
directly. Yeah.
technically was working with him.
Yeah.
In what capacity? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, like he made it sound like he was his project manager, stick hand. So my brother was also a big fan. He's like, "No, no, I'm not gonna like, if you 500, I'll grab that right now and go." Yeah,
Hmm.
that was a funny one. But enough tangents. We do that a lot. So we actually have a topic today that we want to go through, which is like a very interesting experiment because I think it needs both of us, and there's no data on one like this to know if it works. We're going to workshop it to see if it's going to even, and like, is this a viable idea? And what would that look like? And I think it's really good. And Ryan says we're making new for sale signs. The top is the QR code, links to the listing, and our information on the bottom rider. I like it. I also think you should have custom for sold signs instead of a sold run. Just replace the whole sign with a new sold. Gives you more space to get your message across. I like it. All right. So
Good
today's
idea.
episode, do you want to tee it up?
Yeah, so when we're talking about like how the world is changing, it requires more to basically be the choice for the strangers that haven't met you. Like I was listening to something related to Neil Patel recently, and he was saying that you used to have about 8 impressions per day to be considered the top of the game, and now it's risen to 11, and that's only over the last 5 years. So getting out in front of people is really key, but there's so many different ways to do it. And often the way the funnel looks is that you have content that reaches that impression, and then it has to come into some type of sales funnel. Normally, when a real estate business is at a solopreneur level, that's you. They see your ad, they call, it hits your cell phone, you have a great conversation, you go and meet their house, or you go and meet them at their house. But in larger scale or trying to go faster at higher volume, that becomes problematic because most people need response time. You know, when somebody inquires, if you're looking at what perfect was, 7 minutes. 7 minutes is what you have. And that's if you're using systems to hold that door open by having like autoresponders and stuff to kind of buy you that extra time. Because what every consumer in the market wants is awesome and now. Those two things. And the quality of any lead is based on the quality of response. So then you see these mega teams build out this inside sales squad, and that's where the term inside sales agent comes from, or ISA. And normally this group is there just to see who wants to have conversations. But Andrew, you want to challenge this flow.
And I've been like for years looking at ways to fix it. And it always comes back to the idea, which we have talked about on here too, of like the airport in Houston. I think it was Houston, but somewhere. And they had this thing going on of they kept getting complaints that bags weren't getting to the carousel and people were waiting too long. And they did everything they could to speed that up. And they were able to improve the time it took to get a bag from the plane to the carousel by 50%, which is what like a lot of agents would be thrilled if they could increase their speed to lead 50%. The amount of complaints about how long people waited for their bags didn't even change 1%. And then someone new came in and took complaints to zero. And that's what I keep thinking back is like, what is our way of taking complaints to zero? And what they did is they made the walk from the plane to the airport twice as long. Because if people feel like they're taking movement and like moving and taking action, then they're not waiting. So how I originally did this, and it still works, but I think there's always ways to improve it, is we use what we call the double dip offer, which is like they opt in, they become a lead, then we offer them something else, and we offer them something else. So like they're taking action through that. But I was on recently, so I followed this a guy named Tacky Moore who he coaches coaches essentially. Um, and one of the best in the space for this. And what I've also found is more than any other industry, coaching, how coaches get clients is one of the closest I've seen to how realtors get clients in terms of like taking lessons from other industries and applying it to real estate. Um, so I was looking and he just did one. He did an experiment where for 90 days, he told his sales teams they weren't allowed to sell. And the idea was like, how could we eliminate sales calls from the business? And what he wanted was because like he was thinking about himself and his best friends. Almost none of them ever want to do a sales call with someone. They just want to buy it. Like if they see something, they research it, and if they like it, they just buy it. They don't want to get on an hour-long sales call or do any of that. He's like, if I like that, my friends are like that. Even at his point, that's like a 50K a year commitment. He's like, if we're willing to spend that much, though, getting on a call, there has to be a way to do this where other people also don't want to be on a call. And that's a lot like when you start thinking about like the similarity, there was a lot there with real estate. And what his experiment was is they created a Google Doc basically. And I think they actually use Notion, but essentially a Google Doc where it outlined what the program is, who it's for. It's very strategically thought out from a copy perspective. And they just drive as many people to that offer as possible. And they tripled their sales during the 90 days without a single call happening. Like people would go straight to buying. Now, you can't completely do that in real estate the same way. Like maybe you could get to their house without a call happening now because you still have to get them there. You got to get the sign. Like, I mean, there probably is a way to get rid of even that, but I don't know that I'd want to. That's a separate discussion we can have today. But essentially, what we want to workshop today is can we take this system of the salesless program and adapt it for real estate? Could we design a system realistically that you've never had to call leads again? That's what we're making as our North Star here. I think it's doable. I don't think it's easy, but I think it's doable.
Well, to recap, we work on a whole bunch of things, and
Yeah.
different things have different levels of efficacy. Once we get into it, sometimes you find out that you don't actually want to do it, or you want to do it different, or it works differently than you assumed when you started. And that's the key to trying things. Over the last episodes, we've talked about things like my buying presentation. We started to develop a newsletter list called the Insiders that I think we're over 150
Yeah.
now. So there's things like that that are that we've talked about like quite a while ago, and these things are very much working now. And so when I hear you talk about this, I really see a bit of it. Now, my understanding of this is that this is dependent on having a lot of content.
Yes.
And
You
the
marketing heavy.
mechanism, as I see it working, is the idea is when you're in a listing presentation, think about how many things that you say again, right? Like technically, a lot of good listing presentations, you want them to be like rinse and repeat, right? When I go and meet somebody, I walk through their house. I talk to them about any changes that they might want to make as we're kind of cruising through. I also get to know them and rapport build a lot during that walkthrough. That's like its main purpose. And then we sit down, and right now, what I'm talking to people about is do you want to list it or do you want to launch it? Right? In some cases, we don't have the metrics to launch it. Like their neighborhood is not performing high enough, or that price point is either too high or too low because my market's really hot in the middle, but not top or bottom. And then after that, I really want to go through and talk to them about how we're going to help people see the value in their house in exchange for it. But if you were to break down all the talk tracks I use, well, a lot of them are over and over again, and they've been sharpened over time. So if I were to start creating a library of making videos like Reels that were looking at that listing presentation through like an inch by inch frame. So I'm making the little things large. Well, then I might actually have enough content that I can bring people in because they'll reach this like what do we call it? Like a critical mass where they've actually listened to me as much as they would have in a listing presentation. Like, what do you think the metric is when somebody is like converting using this method?
So what how he's done it, and I think it's smart. So there's two key components that I've noticed he's been working on. One he calls brand width, which is they studied it, and we've again, I think we even talked about this part on the show before, is they found that when people buy, it's after they've consumed 48 minutes of content, whether that is after one day, a week, a month, or a year. But typically, once they can like through the consumption of content that they can track, which isn't a perfect system, it's about 48 minutes of content until someone buys, because that's how long it takes for them to feel enough trust to buy from people when they can consume that much from someone. So that's the first piece. And then that drives as many people as you can. It's just the essentially the listing presentation version. And that's where I think that's what he does is like at the end of the day, the call system of like an ISA booking a call, you doing your listing, your presentations and all that stuff essentially is just you trying to get your offer in front of as many people as you can. You're just trying to make it qualified people. But what if we can do it without that middle bit and just get drive people direct to the offer and just
Well,
get
let's talk about the landmines because I'm sure that there's a whole bunch of people here
yeah.
that are like, well, then I'm going to go to their house and it's not going to be good, or they're not going to be ready, or their timeline's not going to be right.
I think the way that I would look at this is we're now setting up the marketing and this system. So you're not going to the house until you're going to just to get the ink on the page. They are already in.
Yeah, so
That's
they're
what we're
already
working with.
choosing you. You
Yeah,
just need to fill in the blanks, like what price
you're
we're going to
going to
list at.
finalize
And
it. That's what I say.
hmm
Like you could probably still do that with a DocuSign type of package, but I think from like a service and all that standpoint, you'd want to be there to like double check the house.
Well,
Like,
part of
right?
helping
Like,
people is influencing them as well,
yeah,
and good luck influencing people you haven't met.
yeah.
Like they might get
But
part
that's
of the
doable.
message.
I think with the right marketing though, like that's the point of this is like for example, when I do had my show or this show, like over Pint before it, this one now it's like people meet you and feel like they already know you.
hmm
So you can do that with them having never actually met you, they'll feel like they have. That's what we want to get to with the marketing, whereas like they're already all in on you. And basically what it is, instead of like your marketing does this much and then your sales skills are this much, we're taking the marketing up to here. And then they basically opt in at the end. And all you're doing is going in person. Like when I'm thinking now of like what you're going through in person is you're just going over there to get the signature, confirm the house is what you're thinking, and then starting the process of like, all right, here's how, like, basically it's like going to go, here's what's going to happen next. We're going to have the photographer come, we're going to do this, yada, yada, yada. But so an interesting one, and I can read it to you. It's not like crazy long. Um, and this is one thing that I've noticed is also the transition with top coaches now is instead of just telling you what you should do, they're creating the AI tools to help you do it quicker. So I adapted his one for coaches and I try to make it work for a realtor. So it created an offer doc for you. This will need massaging. This will need
Fair.
you fixing parts of it. And then we can break down what parts of it work. But essentially, he would call it the July case study group. There's 8 spots left. And the idea behind that is basically how many clients right now, if you got them this month, could you handle? Like if 20 people called you today to list their home, how many of those could you handle this month?
20 would be pretty spicy. Like to
But
have
what
4 weeks with 5 listing launches.
So how many could
I
you realistically
definitely
do?
know that we could do three every week without missing a beat. So let's
So
start by
12.
calling it 12.
Okay. So I'm going to say 12 spots left because that adds a little scarcity to it. So here's how I'm just going to read it, then we'll talk about the different parts of it. So here's what so the launch your home system July case study group 12 spots left. Here's what I'm doing to launch your home case study group this July. The outcome is simple: to get you an average of 60,000 more for your home using the Hack and Co team compared to the average agent in Edmonton. I'm going to hand select a small group of Edmonton homeowners and help them sell their homes for top dollar without the stress, without the guesswork, and without paying us a cent until the deal is done. We'll do it with the perfect mix of expert pricing strategy, pro level home prep, marketing firepower, and our proven launch method that generates buzz and gets multiple offers fast. The model is simple. Phase one, price for profit. We start with a custom pricing strategy that positions your home to drive demand and attract serious buyers fast. No guessing, no underpricing, just data, strategy, and real market results. Phase two is prep and launch. We get to work. Our teams prepped your home and shows so it shows beautifully. We design a full-blown marketing blitz. We launch to our VIP buyers list and we open the floodgates to the public. And then we negotiate multiple offers to get you the highest possible price. Here's what you get with the full launch your home system: full service home prep and staging guidance, a pricing strategy built to win, custom marketing campaigns, photo ads, web, and more, VIP launch to our buyer list, weekly updates, feedback and expert strategy, and access to an entire Hack and Co selling team. We only get paid when your home sells and not a moment before. It's a small group, so I'm looking for the best fit. So if you are one, selling a home in Edmonton, two, plan to sell within the next 60 days, three, are willing to follow expert advice, four, value getting top dollar and not just a quick exit, five, have done basic maintenance and upkeep on your home, and six, and you're okay working with someone who talks fast, works faster, and occasionally brags about his dog like he's on the payroll. If that's you and you'd like to join us, step one, this is where I'll have to edit. Book a free 15-minute call. Two, we'll see if your home qualifies for the system. Step three, if it's a fit, we'll build your custom launch plan. And that then it's just Taylor Hack, team lead at Hack and Co. PS, as soon as you decide, we'll send your home to our VIP list of qualified buyers so we can start generating buzz for your home today.
Okay, so Miles is chiming in saying that you said we don't underprice it. Now, we are going to massage these things,
Yeah.
so we may not use that similar language.
Yeah.
But we could be like using price for attention or price as a marketing tool.
Yeah.
We can change some of these
So
things.
this was an AI output, Miles, so it still needs a lot of massage. This is literally just me like throwing a couple tests in because I attended this workshop last night.
So
And
I'm going to
then,
break it down a little bit.
yeah,
So the first thing is that he's making it exclusive by having a finite number.
yeah,
And I'm wondering if we would want to lean into that by talking about you can apply to see if your neighborhood meets the criteria for a launch process.
yeah,
Because that's something that we actually do. We will go to a neighborhood or we will do research on a neighborhood. And what we really want to see is one, with the listings that have ended, three out of four of them need to have sold with the kind of average general population agents, right?
yeah,
So I need to see at least a 75% success rate. And by the way to calculate that is if you do like a 90-day summary on the neighborhood, and let's say that there were 30 listings, but five of them are still active, well, those five are still trying. We don't know how those are going to land, right?
yeah,
And then that might leave us 25 listings. And out of those 25, how many left with a buyer so they could be sold or pending? That finding a buyer, most of the pendings go through here. Or the other side is people that had to leave the market without a buyer, terminated, withdrawn, or expired. So we really want to see that where it's like three out of four of them were successful because now we know there's enough attention. We also want to know if they've had evidence of multiple offers. So if we can see that the average agent is pulling off multiple offers, like some of the neighborhoods that I work in are averaging at 100% or 102% of list price right now. So I know it's going to be spicy. And by understanding that there's that many fish in the lake, well, now every time I drop my hook in there, I've got a fish. So I'm obviously using the wrong device. I need to go get a net. And that's what this launch process is designed to capture. So that exclusiveness is one of the big impacts. And then the second thing is the qualification. That will get people to be like, "Oh, is that possible where I'm at?"
yeah.
And get them to lean in a little bit.
And
And
we
then
could
the
do
next
this.
thing,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just saying we could do that one of two ways. So, like where here, it's like, so if you are selling a home in Edmonton, was the first one. We could either one be like selling a home in Edmonton in one of the following neighborhoods, colon, then you list out the neighborhoods. Easy qualifier. Or we advertise 10 versions of this, each one worded to that neighborhood, and we're only promoting it in that neighborhood. And then you kind of have a, are you selling a home in Sherwood Park? That's the qualifier on that one. Where it's like, but I think it'd be better to be like, are you selling it in one of these areas? Because these are the areas this works.
Hmm. Yep. So we could basically give qualifiers there because again, we're trying to like catch the net and get the right fish in that net, right?
Yeah.
There's some really low value areas that I don't want to work in anyway. So I'm
Yeah.
obviously not going to invite people from there to partake. Um, and that's something that you want to kind of think about is where is your ideal client profile? Where do you actually want to do this, right?
Yeah.
And then as it goes a little bit further, you got to talk a little bit about the value that you create. Like with myself, I would be talking about a team. If I wasn't part of a team, I'd be talking about how I have friends in the brokerage that essentially like help me work off my listings. So I'm going to be your listing agent. I'm going to be wrangling by other agents representing buyers in the marketplace. But now I have teammates that are going to help us prep buyers that aren't ready. So they
Yeah.
need to be introduced to mortgage brokers. We gotcha. Do they need to understand how to write offers? Do they need more information so they don't bring us crap offers? This is what they're for, right? And we can tie a few of those things in, but then the idea is that this would be a capture system and that you would get some people that apply.
Yeah. And I think that's the key thing here is like if you think about the ISA process and all that qualification, like all of that, that is all accomplished essentially within that. Like the qualifying, are they qualified? Are they the type of people we want? If people get to the bottom of that and are still, yes, I'm in, you've done that all just by them reading that and then taking the action at the end. And then it's just a question of how many people can we get to read it to the end.
Totally. And how you promote it. Like we're talking
Yeah.
ours about being a launch process. So like we might end up talking about like the mechanics of real estate launches
Yep.
and how in most cases before a property hits realtor.ca, the only people that know about it is the agent and their clients.
Yeah.
And we are
And
actually creating this situation where there's hundreds, well, actually thousands of people that know about our listings before they actually drop.
yeah.
So this is something that might have been common in your area, but it wasn't common in mine. Like the number of
Yeah.
agents that use any type of coming soon marketing, let alone pre-marketing beyond that, are super limited. So that's what I want to do is show myself being far and above what's normal. And the good news is that I already have case studies that will back this up. So we can add something to that saying like click these links to read these case studies and talk
Yeah.
about seeing like over 50 offers on a property, talk about seeing 200 groups through, and
So I think
basically
that
say,
would be pre-marketing here, right? So like I wouldn't put that in the doc. That would be like, for example, a 20-minute YouTube video of you doing that case study. Like go
"Mm,
and interview the sellers about what that was like. That's a video. Like you go and you sit down with the sellers and you talk about it with them and the result they get and how they're feeling about it now. And then just by the way, like if you want to see if your home qualifies for the launch system like they had, go DM me launch on Instagram and I'll send you our sheet to see if you qualify.
So I think I've got to get like some evolution on my side to get into that position. Like
Yeah.
when I think about inviting my clients to be on camera, I think about how many people don't even like the way they sound on voicemail, and how many people are incentivized by large commissions to do video and they still struggle doing video. So asking my clients to be on television is something where I'm running into a rub point, but I think the key to that lock is something that you were telling me about previously. In my listing presentation, I should be giving a menu of things that help my business that can essentially result in discounts.
Yeah. And it's also a find the right people. Like there, I'm sure you could think of in your client base with the amount of people you help, there's probably a handful a year that would have no problem getting on camera,
Yeah.
right?
And that's the thing that I gotta maybe bring more light onto
Yeah.
is
Yeah, and
who
that's
I could
like,
participate with.
and then you might film 8 of these and only two are worth it.
Oh, good
Or
point.
like you don't
Or some
have
might
to,
just be worth for clips. Yep.
yeah. So it doesn't have to be, and maybe what ends up happening is you film eight of them, none are good on their own, but spliced together into one really good video that highlights the system,
Hmm.
right? Like that's where we're looking. But if this is to work, you have to think about everything up until they basically say, I'm in to work with you.
Hmm.
Everything that you do from during the listing presentation, during your marketing before, that gets them to say, yes, we are hiring you. We have to get the same point across in your content online.
Oh, great. So normally, if you were to basically take apart what does KFC have? 11 herbs and spices.
Yeah.
And they actually follow 11 guys name or I think it's like seven guys named
And the
Herb
Spice
and the
Girls.
Spice Girls on
Yeah.
Twitter. That's like the only people KFC follows, which is super
Yeah.
funny.
Which took like
But
a
if you,
year for anyone to notice.
which is a sly play. I like that long
Yeah.
game. Um, so if I were to break down the secret sauce of my listing presentation, one of it is definitely like rapport building, and that's something that we can just kind of slide to the side for now. Because if they're watching a lot of video of me, I imagine that I'll become familiar, and that will kind of help in that
Not just
situation.
video, but yes.
And then the next thing would be is that I want to show them that I possess house knowledge, neighborhood knowledge, market knowledge, and deal knowledge. And the way that we do that is when we sit down, we actually show them our research. So I've already taken a look at all the public records on your property, the property tax information, and so on. Then we've done an analysis of your neighborhood. So we can tell you what the average days on market are in much more specificity than like general statistics and even like stuff in your price point. And that's where we really start to like kind of translate from that neighborhood knowledge to the market knowledge. And then we often talk about like how we're going to demonstrate the value of that property and how we see the value in everything. Like the biggest reason that I go through a research folder with my clients is so they know I'm not missing any value,
That is an
right?
easy YouTube video that's long form of come with me while I show you how we determine like the launch price of one of the listings in Sherwood Park. And then you basically like pick a fictional house in it and you walk them through exactly how you do that. Because then they're going to know you'll do that for their home. They've seen you do that process. They've seen how much care. And you say, like, I do this for every client. It takes our team about this much time per listing. Here's how we do it. Right? You're still walking them through exactly what you're doing point by point. It's just
And you can
not
really
specific to
boil this
theirs yet.
Yeah, you can really boil this down because the way I see real estate is that the value of each property is based on the three pillars of value, which
Yeah.
is location, characteristics, and condition in that order. Because location's so permanent, you're not going to move it. And then characteristics is also pretty permanent. Very few people actually change the livable square footage of their house outside of like developing a basement. And then finally, it would be a condition which a lot of people perceive their ability to change.
Yeah.
So if you're competing with a house that has stronger location and stronger characteristics and you're trying to fight with great condition, it's a difficult run. So talking about that in real detail, I think the biggest thing it does is demonstrate your understanding of how things are priced.
Yeah. And the thought and care that goes behind it and the strategy. Because like a lot of people are like, oh, okay, if I have access to sold prices, I could do it too. And you're kind of
Hmm.
walking them through to show, okay, this is a lot more than just looking at the three most recent sales in the neighborhood and then sticking a pin in the middle. Right. Like
Mm.
there's a lot of people, like I'll give you an example, like one of my grandfather, like he's hired a few agents over the years and you ask him, how did you pick that agent? Because when I got in the industry, I was like, no, no, how did you pick your agent? He goes, oh, I do the same thing I've done for 30 years. I call three agents in. Who's ever price they suggest is in the middle is who I hire. He doesn't care about anything else. It's just they all suggest the list price. He makes them all suggest it on the spot during their presentation.
And he doesn't choose the top one.
No, he picks who's in the middle because he assumes the top one is lying to
Overpromised.
get it. The lowest one, probably not confident enough to do the job well. So he takes the middle.
Huh. Well, I definitely support, like, I love the idea of interviewing three. Three is the absolute
Yeah,
minimum. And the reason that three is the minimum is without three, you cannot see high, low, and average, right?
yeah,
And that should not maybe just be on price. It should
yeah,
also be on like full like setup.
yeah,
But I imagine that your grandfather had an incredible metric for juice for squeeze, where he's just like, yeah, you know what? I want to like I don't maybe like the way I'm seeing it, I will probably be more likely to be talked into things by someone who's good at finding people to help, but maybe not as good at helping people.
yeah.
And that's something that that's kind of interesting. So I totally support people interviewing three. I think it's the best way to go. I like it when I go and interview against two other agents because they provide a great contrast for me.
Yeah. But like this, I think with if we can nail this system, there wouldn't even be other agents being interviewed anymore.
Hmm.
Right? Like
And
that's what
this
we're trying
system
to we're just
is
eliminating, they're just going to you and that's it. And they're
and this
comparing
system
their
is
presence to you.
based on creating a lot of content.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm set up for. So I like how aligned
Yeah.
this is with my business.
Because if they start looking up everyone else in your area and you have videos that break this down in detail, show that level of care, their interview process is now comparing their presence online to yours.
And I really
And
got to increase my YouTube game because, like, we were
yeah,
talking about the future of SEO, which is essentially AI SEO, or whatever the hell they're going to call it. But
yeah,
artificial intelligence will be where a lot of people get suggestions, and I don't have a thick enough credit. You know, like
yeah.
I do have reviews, but not necessarily reviews that they value as much as other people that have like bigger digital footprints.
Yeah, and you'll need to get your clients, and this is sometimes how you ask for different things like that to start. Like you have to prompt them in a way where their reviews are SEO friendly. So like when you're prompting them, say like, by the way, this actually really helps us if when you're writing the review, you can say like, I sold my home in Sherwood Park instead of Taylor sold our home.
Hmm.
Like he helped us sell our home in Sherwood Park. You can even say the street if you're comfortable with that. Like, he sold our home on this street in Sherwood Park. He came in with his team. They got this many offers, this many showings, and we got this much more than we thought possible. Like that, those reviews, because like one thing I've noticed with ChatGPT is like it will actually like talk about substance of reviews in some of
Mm.
the recommendations they make. Because like I did one where I was trying to review software and I was like I did a deep research thing and it actually would like pull up from reviews online these specific themes that were coming out from the ones it read
Hmm.
to determine the quality. It wasn't just like they're getting this many stars. It's here's the themes from the reviews and based on what you asked us to evaluate, this is also the best fit. And so that's where you start getting into like, okay, I want to look at. So like when we look at trying to get a client to leave a review, we want to kind of lead them on to exactly what we want them to say. But then you got to start like, okay, that someone leaves a great review. Okay, let's go get them to see if they can film a case study video. And maybe it's as simple as, hey, we're trying to, you know, put some content together that's like a case study on homes like yours. Um, would you guys do it? And I'll buy you dinner at any restaurant in the city. Just get on camera. Because some people are like, oh, I'll give them a nice dinner. Right. Yeah, I'll get on camera for that. You just be like, don't worry, you don't have to think of anything to say. I'm just going to ask you questions, and all you have to do is answer them honestly. Because now you're taken away. Because like a lot of the other ones, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what I'm going to do on camera. Same with leaving Google reviews. Like, that's why you get those generic reviews. I was like, it's great working with Taylor because they're like, I don't know what to say. But if you said,
Yeah.
hey, could you leave me a review? And when you do, here's some stuff that's just to help you think about what to say, because this is what people care about when they look at reviews. And you give them like bullet points, all the things to hit. And they're basically going to go on that review and be like, okay, Taylor said these are things that people care about. Working with Taylor is great. His team came in and staged my home. They did this, and this. They launched it and got this many showings, this many offers, and we got this much more than we thought. I would definitely work with Taylor again. And it's like, but your prompt said, hey, would you mind writing a review? And I know sometimes people get writer's block. Here's some of the things to mention. And at the end, could you just let us know if you'd work with us again if the opportunity came up? Obviously, that's exactly how they're going to write the review now. Because it's not a court of law where you can't do leading questions. You can, the only thing I wouldn't do is actually write the review for them. Because if Google senses that like you wrote like, every single review is written in the exact same tone and style, they'll start to flag them as fake.
Yep, there's definitely more and more detection around that.
Yeah. So you
Um,
want to lead them to what to say, but have them write it in their words.
so when we're thinking about like making these videos, we'll obviously be talking about the things that we do to sell houses, but there's also a lot of things that come up in listing presentations that are almost like objections,
Yeah.
right? Or what should I change about my house? The how do we get the most resale? Those types of things will also be something that we would have to address by video to keep, just to make that really rounded out.
Well, if they're already saying they're in, right? Like that, when you get the house to like do the paperwork, you can be like, I think you're going to need 4 weeks before this actually goes live because we're under your house. You're going to have to do this, this, and this. But the video that gets them there would be like, so when we get a new client, we have to look at, how long, maybe this video is essentially from the moment you call an agent, how long until you can get on the market. Well, here's what we look at. First, is your home ready to be shown? So we'd have to look at your home and here's the places that are worth doing the work and the ones that aren't. And so like these ones are like, painting the house from like your funky colors is a worthwhile time. Like cleaning the baseboards, that's worth doing before you list because that has those types of returns. So that these are the things we look at when we're getting a home ready for sale. Here's the things you can take shortcuts on because it's not going to impact the price, right? And it's like you're just doing that in the video. So then when they get there, they've already also know this.
So
And
I've been having this idea like bubble up in my mind about making visual representations of things that help people expand their perception. And for example, imagine asking artificial intelligence to create an image of a kitchen, but to almost like zoom in or overstate where it's not clean. So like in behind the kitchen, like right behind the faucet, there's that normally that little space
yeah.
behind a faucet that a lot of people, it's still grungy, top of the fridge, things on top of baseboards. And it could like show how a buyer experiences that. Because believe it or not, when it's your dust, it feels different than when it's someone else's.
And that is a great actual like little YouTube video. And that could be a series of overlooked things people don't think about during showings. And then you're just like, it could be in your own house. You just be like, this little part here behind the fridge, I can't tell you the amount of homes we've been through where they've neglected to clean this one part. And when everything else is clean, this stands out and leaves buyers thinking this house is dirty. It's like the tall guy thing. I don't know if you ever heard of this, but it's like if for people who are like 6'6" and up, they say what almost no one has any idea of is how fucking dirty the top of all fridges are because no one cleans the top of a fridge.
Yeah,
And right,
yeah.
it's like as your experience as the tall guy, the realtor walking through so many homes, here's the most overlooked things. That could just be like each individual thing is its own reel, right? Like that is such an easy. Then like your YouTube video is now you just take like after you've done like 50 of these reels, take the 10 that did the best, that had the most views. And your YouTube video is now here's the top 10 most overlooked things when it comes to homes that people forget to do when getting it ready for sale. And you're just taking the ones that got the most views and doing it in. But like this is what I say, like when you're prepping a home for sale, that prep period, you could create at least 30 to 50 reels. Like every single thing you do in each room is its own little video. That might be 30 seconds and be like, here's why we rearranged the couch this way. Here's why we replaced this photo with this one. Here's why we put this jar of lemons and limes on the table. Here's why we did this. And then you go to the next room. Here's why we removed this stuff from the counter. Here's why we left this other stuff on the counter. Here's why we did this. Here's why we did that. Here's why we cleaned this little place behind. Those are right there. It's like 15 videos. You haven't even finished 2 rooms. And those just, and every time you get a new listing, you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And now you just have this unbelievable range of content of look at all the work and thought that we put into everything that we do. And then the best performing ones, long form videos.
And that's what really people want. More than anything else, they want to know why they should trust you.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing. And when they're interviewed or surveyed by large companies that do this, like the National Association of Realtors or Zillow is probably one of the deepest consumer
Yeah.
research groups in real estate, they will tell you that beyond anything else, people want a real estate agent that they can trust.
I'll give you an example. It was a friend of mine. I actually went to high school with her, and she got into the industry around the same time as me. And she had this one story that was like 15 seconds that got her a few listings. Like it was that simple. And she was in a kitchen, and the kitchen cupboards had a gap like this big between the top and the ceiling. You know, that classic one where like they don't grout it or whatever it's called. They don't fill in that gap. And she just said,
Mhm.
"Hey, when we're getting a home for study, this is one of the things we look for. If you have that, we get our guy in." And she just filmed her guy like putting it across the top and closing the gap. And she's like, "Look how much better that looks already. This is one of the 50 things we do when we get a home ready for sale to maximize the sale price." And that was a video. And then people were like this that key line there is this is one of the 50 things we do. They're
Mm.
like, I wouldn't have thought of that. And that does look a million times better already just from him doing that. All right, I need
Mm-hmm.
to call this woman to come because I want the other 49 things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like that little piece of, oh yeah, no, look how much thought goes into everything here. We've never thought about half of this. And
Yep. And that's what they really want to know is that you kind of like have their back. So the things that you need to demonstrate, in my opinion, in order to be trustworthy, is one that you care about other people's outcomes, that you're not
yeah,
just like trying to find a way to put money in your pocket. And then the other thing is that you're credible. So what we're talking about right now is house knowledge, specifically how buyers see houses.
yeah,
That's how my walkthrough is. Like when I'm walking through somebody's house, actually the most of the comments I make are, "Oh, buyers perceive this as."
yeah,
And that's so important because what sellers want is what buyers pay attention to so that they can win the best buyers that will pay the most money. The other reason that I talk like that is so that I don't get covered in negatives myself.
yeah.
So if
That's what the
I
buyers
point
want.
something out like, "Man, this carpet's super tired." Well, now it's me saying that. I'm talking
Yeah,
smack about your house. But if I say, well, you know what? There's some buyers that might have some concerns based on how the thread wear is around these thresholds, that this carpet will need to be replaced right away.
yeah. And
And
it
once they
changes
move
like,
all their stuff in here, that's going to be a challenge. So maybe we should take a look at getting some flooring quotes because if you did bring your property to the market with new flooring, it would match some of the other improvements you did.
and that's all. I think that's always just part of the frame, right? It's never like I think this paint sucks. It's like no, like when we work with so many buyers, we know exactly based on them walking through what they say and what they look for. Here's the things that matter.
Oh, I see every
And
wall's a feature wall.
yeah, it's great. I learned the lesson the hard way when I was selling of like not putting your taste onto people. I remember
Totally.
literally one of the first places I ever showed was such a dump. I walked in and I was turning around to be like, yeah, let's just go. This place is disgusting. And just as I was like, all right, he goes, I love it. It's like, oh, it's like we have different standards, different taste.
Yeah, some agents would start explaining to him why he's wrong.
So like
Uh,
it's like I explained, but I'm like, I guess it's that it always comes back to the customer's always right quote that's horribly wrong. It's the customer's always right when it comes to taste. So it's like that was a taste thing, the issue that it was a structurally sound, fine apartment. It was just in a lot of other ways horrible.
yeah, I
Um,
would say that the customer is always right about telling you about their opinion.
yeah, like if they prefer a black to a silver car, they are always right that
Totally.
a to them a silver
Expressing their
car or a
opinion.
black, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's but there are other things they're just objectively wrong about. But people just shorten the. But I mean, I think we've even talked about it. I always love the things around people getting quotes wrong. It's my favorite. Like the quotes
My
everyone knows.
favorite, what favorite quote of yours do people screw up?
Blood is thicker than water. It's my favorite one
How do they screw it up?
because it actually means the opposite. Because it's the essentially the original idea was you're closer to the people you spilled blood with in the trenches in World War One than the people you shared the water of the womb with growing up.
Ah, but people reverse it and they think it's
Yeah.
related to your family
Yeah.
being blood and
Yeah.
then water being like an
Yeah. I was thinking,
alternative.
that never made sense. Like, what is that? Like, do you drink, like, what do you mean? Are you swimming next to these people? No, it's the people you spilled blood with are closer than the people you shared water with.
See, mine is a jack of all trades, is a master of none.
Yeah.
That's how most people end that quote. A jack of all trades is a master of none. But if they knew the whole quote, it actually reverses the position, just like you said. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but always better than the master of one. So
Yeah.
anybody who is cross-trained is better than a specialist. And for
Yeah.
me, that example goes to martial arts, actually. Like originally, when we saw the first UFC, it was specific martial arts fighting each other, right?
Yeah.
But now, if you were a master of one, you're in real trouble against even the entry level fighters in the
Yeah.
UFC. And I also believe that that's the same in real estate. You know, real estate is a multifaceted deal. In fact, I think the most successful realtors not only are good at sales, but they can also lead generate and business management. And there's very few people that seem to be able to do all three of those at a level where they can be competent enough at all three to accelerate.
That just gave me a content idea that you could put up, and this would be like a blog post from YouTube. What UFC can teach you about hiring a great realtor. And
Mm.
then it's like, and essentially the argument of the video becomes this is why you need a team.
Oh, I love it. You know what? There's a few people that are watching here that I'm sure are feeling intimidated by like top agents in their marketplace that have things like billboards. Here's something that I've used that has really opened the door for me, right? I now for me, I'm playing on the advantage of being very highly reviewed.
No.
And I say, well, you know what? There's two types of agents. There's people that are really good at finding people to help, and there's people that are good at helping people. If you wanted to measure those, how many billboards you have is how good you are at finding people, and how many five-star reviews you have is how good you are at helping people. For me, I'm good enough at helping people that I have no billboards because those people essentially source new people for me.
And then once you start buying billboards,
Yeah, well, then I'll just change the language. It's just like when I
yeah,
was a new agent,
yeah,
I knew that I was going to beat all the top agents because I could invest in one person more than they could at higher repetition. So if I was out there door knocking, how many postcards does it take to beat the guy that's already been past your threshold? You know, it takes a
yeah,
lot. Like being the realtor that's been in their house is worth it. To the point where I was talking to Andy about this, and for those people who haven't watched the episode with Andy, you should definitely watch it. One of the best agents in the entire world. And he was talking about how he is like he believes on a certain number of images per day. That's why he has a
yeah,
lot of that marketing, right? But there's also some other aspects to it of if you are like if you're working in the slower time of your business, set your range out further. So
yeah,
maybe around January, you should be calling out to people that might not be selling for 2 or 3 years. Because being the agent that's been in their house is it's way more likely to make you their guy.
yeah. And then going back to the offer plan that we've been talking about, I think what you need is a hero video to add to
Tell
it.
me more.
That is a full hour long listing presentation video, 40 to 60 minutes of
Where do I
you.
shoot this?
I would do it in your office.
Like here,
Uh,
but
yeah, it could be your boardroom, but like that's one I would actually hire a videographer to help you with. Like I would plan
mm,
this one out, do it really well. I'd have different like one that and this is one that I've seen him do really well is he then like well he has like multiple views like one's on him. Then when he talks about a concept, it cuts to like an overhead camera and he's drawing it out on a paper to explain it. So think of like my
mm.
triangle model that I have. It'd be like I'm talking about it and then it cuts to that and I'm drawing that part out. And it's like all right, so you're basically literally taking a what if I were to do an interactive listing presentation, but without an audience? How would I do that? And it's like this is where it's like you really found this, like really planning this really, really highly. And then it's like if you knew someone watched this full 60 minutes, they would want to hire me.
Yep. So you put more edge into it and then or sorry, more energy into it beforehand. Make sure that
Yeah,
it's really tight because this is something that you're not just going to show to one person. It's not like a listing presentation where you could have some mistakes and some of them you get
yeah,
and some of them you don't maybe.
yeah.
But instead the idea would be is this good enough to be scalable to an audience of 1,000,
And
2,000, 10,000?
I would re-film it every year
Mm.
because then it's the how to get your home sold in Edmonton in 2025, how to get your home sold in Edmonton in 2026. Because like you probably update your listing presentation once in a while.
Yep, definitely in
So
the middle of a rebuild right now.
yeah,
So we just finished the buyer's presentation. I had shown you aspects of it. It's now finalized, which is
yeah,
awesome. And now we're just about done the seller's experience redesign because we design the experience first and then we make a presentation to talk about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like Ryan's saying that Miles and him just did this for both buyers and sellers on their YouTube channel. I'm curious for them like how long that video is. But like a video like this, I wouldn't even think you'd need more than 400 views before you'd start potentially getting clients from it. Because it would very specifically be, I'm not trying to get the most views from this. I'm trying to get qualified people to watch this. And so your other videos that are more like you keep talking about, your launch system. It's like, by the way, if you want to see how our full launch your listing system works, links in the description to watch that video, and it'll walk you through the process. And the people who watch your other videos qualify them over. And then at the end of that video, it's you want to get a, you know, you want to see if you qualify, just DM me launch on Instagram or on this platform or email me launch and I'll send you the sheet to see if you qualify.
Hmm. So then you have the filter, and then the sheet is an entry. And normally, when you ask people for information, you also ask them for their name, email, and phone number.
So I wouldn't even do that here. It would be
No?
straight just DM me. Because again, the idea here is we want to get rid of following up with leads. Like
Uh,
that's right. Like we're trying to strip out every single thing that isn't you going to someone's house to get the paperwork signed.
keep my eye on the prize.
And so there they read the doc, and at the end, it's if you match the criteria and you want to get your home sold, go back to Instagram and say I'm in, and I'll take it from there. And then and then it's just how many people can I get to read this document?
Hmm.
And
Okay, so then my first action out of this is going to just be continue my pace in doing reels.
yeah,
I've actually kind of followed you in because I saw you were working on a video a day and both of us hit it sometimes.
yeah,
Uh, and that would be the idea is to try
yeah,
to put this in place where you're shooting a lot so that you can measure and then you can manage. When
yeah,
you talk about this subject, is it fire? But then you talk about this other subject and it just goes by people. Well, now we need
yeah,
to repackage that one. Like we need to keep trying other angles at it to see if it will catch. And then we need to take the one that's performing and like double down on it, or even try to keep taking different angles to see if it will actually catch even more.
yeah. Yeah, and I'm thinking about the different platforms, like interesting one for me right now. So it's not related to like my business. I put up a video on an Instagram reel yesterday that did all right, like 1,000 views, 30, 40 comments, that type of thing. I was like, I haven't posted on TikTok now in months. It maybe even more. Just took that video straight, just reposted it to TikTok out of curiosity. Last I checked, every time I log in, it's going up. I'm up to like 8,000 views, couple hundred likes, 80 plus. And all the differences on Instagram, it's all people who know me, and I have 10 times the followers there. I have like no followers in TikTok because I don't use it. And I am like filled with comments. I'm like 40, 50 comments, all from people I don't know.
Yeah, algorithmic push is the
Yeah,
secret of
they
TikTok.
have done a very, very good job of pushing that one for way more.
Hmm.
And it's like
And the fact that it actually results in users taking action, really, if you
that's the
zoom
big
out, it's
difference.
one of two things. So, one, we don't have a good metric to measure TikTok the same way that Twitter was measured when it was
Yeah.
sold to see how much bots are engaging, right?
Yeah.
And then the other thing that we don't really know is it seems to be some type of a dark secret on how much TikTok is actually measuring you. And it could be that they are measuring the users much better than other platforms, so their delivery system is good,
Yeah.
but people suspect that it's dirty. And what I mean by
So
that is that they're measuring micro expressions. And I
yeah, like
have
a
a theory
view
on that.
on TikTok isn't as valuable as a view on Instagram, which isn't as valuable as a view on YouTube. Like we know like a TikTok view is 1 second. An Instagram view is 3 seconds. A YouTube view is 30.
Hmm.
Like YouTube is the most valuable platform to get a ton of views on. And that's not just from a monetary perspective. It just means that they're more engaged, they're better clients. Um, but when you go into the analytics of the posts that I did, they actually match each other for how much like the average person watches, the average person leaves. Like all those stats are the same, like almost within like a couple percentage points of each other. The main difference is Instagram, the only comments are people that already know me well or have followed me for a long time. On TikTok, I don't know any of the people commenting.
Well, that's something that we'll definitely decode and
Yeah.
talk about as we go a little bit further, but now it's time to wrap. So if you are not listening live right now, this is the end. We appreciate that you came by. This is the Leads or Shit podcast. It is a real estate magazine podcast. He's Andrew, I'm Taylor. But if you are in the audience right now, we're going to close the public side of this and we're going to keep talking because some of the things that we talk about are better off without recording. So we're going to chat, take questions. If you have more information, let us know. And if you didn't make it this time, you can easily find us. Check out the links. They're online. You can find it with Real Estate Magazine. Just remember the tagline, the leads are shit.
And we'll see you next week unless you're here live and just be here now.